Welcome, everyone, to episode 48 of the Bunker Talk with my good friend, Rachelle Sylvain Spence. How are you, Rachelle?
I'm fantastic.
Thank you so much. This has been a whirlwind to get you in that seat.
That's true. It's been like about a few months.
We've been trying, busy. Our schedules have been, packed.
Yeah.
So Rachelle is with a Furi Aesthetics Cosmetics and the Be Her Collective, which we're going to talk about both of them. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well. Rachelle Sylvain Spence. I always like to share that I'm a mother, a wife, a daughter, a sister, a niece, aunt, and a friend, and who mentors, who live a life of philanthropy, and as well as entrepreneurship.
First of all, you're beautiful. Your family is beautiful.
Thank you.
So your girls are great. So much. And I know because I know you personally, that you have your hands full, not just with your businesses, your philanthropy, raising two daughters, taking care of your mom. You've got a lot.
Yes.
You've got a lot going on.
Yes.
Let's start with the Furi. Tell everyone what you guys offer.
So a Furi Aesthetics and Wellness is a med spa where my husband and I, who's a physician, and my background is as a social worker. So I've done a lot of the mental health piece in terms of my work in the past and the coaching component as well. So we decided to merge our practices and so that we can provide a service that's comprehensive to women and men as a whole so that they can really start taking care of their inner and outer beauty. Mm-hmm. So
you can't do one without the other.
No, you can't.
Right? That's the biggest mistake people make.
Yeah. So the idea of always thinking like I just want to look good, but if the inside of you is not as good as the outer looks, so you'll never feel as complete and fulfilled, and you'll never look good enough.
Right.
Because there's always going to be that one thing that you're not comfortable with. And when you start doing the work within you, you realize that you're comfortable with who you are. You're just doing what you need to do to maintain that look that you have. And so on.
Can you expand on that? Like, how does someone, maybe, I feel like this comes with age. Maybe the generations after me are a little bit more aware. I think because of social media. I think that like the generation of the 20s, probably your daughters, that the early 30s, they're very aware of like self-care.
Yes,
we were not.
We were not.
So what are some of the signs that like people maybe in the older generations need to recognize, like, hey, it's time to stop and take care of yourself? Like, what are those symptoms?
I think that, so you have, as you just mentioned, the younger generation, this is the generation of the social media. So it's constantly in their face, and they recognize the need to care for themselves in order for them to continuously look as good as they want to look, because they're always taking pictures. They're always doing some type of reel. So that's like the idea of always looking your best is in the forefront of their mind constantly. Growing up, depending on where you come from, the idea is that, okay, you're, women of color. Well, you're black don't crack. Is that really true? Right? You know what I mean? Because the assumption is that the pigmentation that you have doesn't really is not affected, but it's not true. Mm-hmm. You have to take care of it. The idea of not putting suntan, because if you have certain pigmentation, I don't need the suntan, but you do. But you're protecting the skin. So that's one aspect of it. Our parents, I don't necessarily didn't talk about that. They talk about going to school, being educated,
right.
Building your business, potentially building your business, or having a career, or having a family,
saving money.
Mm-hmm. But then the self-care piece was never something that they even brought forth. It was never a thought, or maybe it was unconscious that they just did it. Depending again where your background, some people, the way you ate at home or the type of food you were provided affected how you quote unquote your longevity. But it's not necessarily something that was spoken about in terms of you need to drink a lot of water, you need to eat healthy, you need to exercise, you need to do all these things.
I would say that's even on the physical side. I think it was even less on the emotional or the mental side.
Exactly, because the mental and the physical was not. It was taboo. It was taboo. What do you mean? What
do you mean you're sad? Yeah. What do you
get back up and go back out? Yeah.
Which I mean, it's. I mean, I think about my grandmother. I if my memory serves me right, she didn't even finish elementary school. Mm-hmm. Those women back then just didn't, mm-hmm. and she had 14 kids. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, she probably struggled mentally with life, right? In that, especially with not even the education piece, right? I mean, really, she had just survival skills probably, and my mom came from that family, and she's super strong, also not very big on self-care. She only had 2 kids though. Oh wait, and 14 kids, 2 parents, and 1 bathroom.
Yes.
So you don't even have space for yourself.
Exactly.
It was a very different world. And so I think that like they think we're soft, right?
Yes. And then your kids think you're not soft, but they think
They
soft.
think so we're like in the sandwich, right? Where your mom thinks you're soft, your kids don't think you're it's ongoing. But I think that's one of the good things about social media, that I feel like the conversation makes it okay to talk about how you're feeling, acknowledging that, there's signs that if you're feeling, these are the symptoms of what depression may look like, anxiety may look like. So I think that that's one of the pluses of, at least there's conversations that can be had, because in my generation, like my high school years, like it wasn't discussed. No. Self-care, not mental health, none of that.
And also, again, I think a lot of it is also multi-generational and also cultural.
Oh, 100%.
Some cultures are open to it than others, right? So the idea, and sometimes we're conditioned, right? You need to just get back up because you don't have the luxury to feel bad about yourself because you need to get to the next level, to the next thing. So all these things play a role in terms of our lack of self-care, or the desire to do that. Or you don't have to take time to take care of yourself because you have kids, you have to pay the bills, you got to cook, you got to do this, you got everything else. So you feel like you have to give it all to your children as opposed to give it to yourself. And not realizing that you need to pour into yourself first.
And I think that that's what's special about a Furi, is that you guys are taking care of both. Yes. It's a place where you can go and feel better about yourself externally with the services, but also not neglecting the internal, which is important to your point of feeling whole. Yes. Feeling good in a whole sense.
Yeah, it's like a holistic approach to wellness, and in well-being, right? So we talk about wellness. What is wellness? If it's really, the focus should be about your well-being, right? It's and focusing on your well-being, you incorporate all elements of wellness in it, so that you can be the best version of yourself. You could be present for your family, for your loved ones, and not deplete yourself in a way that you are unable to fulfill the roles that you're given because you didn't take the time to really do what needed to be done for you. And as you mentioned, I'm like, I have all these roles. I mean, but I have to prioritize it. So
you can't pour from an empty cup.
No, you cannot. You cannot.
When did you learn that?
So I think like my journey, I believe, started about 20 years ago. I didn't recognize it was. And I can maybe go back a couple of more years than that. I remember distinctly, I was still living in New York. I was not married yet. And I remember making a decision. I was doing my master's, and I was working. So it was like, Monday to Friday, it was a master's program because I was doing internships as well. And I could only work Saturdays and Sundays at the time. And I remember making the decision that I'm not working Sundays anymore. And it was a bold decision because I needed the money. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? I'll work a double shift Friday night to do something like that. But I would not work Sunday because I wanted to preserve my Sundays for my spirit, for myself. I didn't know at the time that's what I was doing. That was
a form of self-care. Yeah.
And it was a form of self-care because growing up, Sundays was sacred. You went to church. You did,
it was a family
day. And we lose sight of that because we're in the hustle and bustle of working and trying to make things happen. And I remember making that decision. I don't want to do that anymore. So I said, I'm not available on Sundays. So if it means I have to cut down on some of my expense and do what I have to do, but Sundays I will not work. And I have not worked since on a Sunday. So, but at the time I didn't know that's what it was. I really didn't know. So I could take it back from that point. It's like I was already in that journey. Right.
That it probably wasn't even labeled that at that point, right? It was, but that boundary that you made with yourself was your way to recharge. To pour into yourself.
And expose myself to what brings me joy, which is family. And so I think that it started since, but I became more conscious of it I could say it about 16 years ago, where I had a moment with myself and paying attention as to what brought me joy, what did not, and reprocessing what do I want to do when I grow up. Literally,
that question never goes away. Apparently, no.
It does not. I mean, I was already like, social worker, doing all my work, and I had just founded a non-for-profit. So, and I still felt like, okay, what do I want to do when I grow up? Because I knew there was more to me than what I was doing, but how am I going to show up in it? And so I had to really take the time to acquaint myself with myself, to get to know the truth of who I was. And I started that journey. So I remember deciding to say no to the things that I felt that was not aligned with who I was and my values. Which it means if somebody asks me something, even though it could be something very benign, but it doesn't align with who I am, maybe back in the day I would have done it, but I'm like, I'm saying no to it. I remember someone came up to me, can you sign this for me? Because say my daughter did this or that, and I was like, no. Because it was not aligned with who I was. And the bigger scheme of thing was a big deal. Right. But I just felt since then I had to walk my talk. And that's when I really started saying, I'm going to say no, even though it hurt me to say no, but it's not aligned with me. And I don't want to do these things. The things that I perceive are not right. I don't want to do it anymore.
Well, I think that, first of all, what you just said is super powerful, because I think it's also the exercise of getting to know what you like and don't like. How many people just don't do that? They do things because other people want, like that is alone so powerful. Recognizing this is who I am. These things align, these things do not. And so then there's a tie to this working on yourself, the self-care that's tied to being true to you. So like, I think maybe even this generation might have it a little wrong, where self-care is like so based on like, a day at the spa. No,
it's beyond
it. So also to the person that maybe doesn't know where to start, or is too busy, feels they can't step away, or they don't want to take something for themselves because they have to give it to their kids. Even something like that, deciding who you are, what you stand for, what your values are, and then honoring that is huge.
It's self-care.
It's self-care. And you saying no to something, right? Yeah. And that's a muscle. What I was going to say is like that exercise, starting, especially if you're a yes person, the power of saying no, and then you have to get used to it. It's an exercise. If it's hard for you to do, then you should do it more.
And also not fear, because what happens is that when you're used to be a certain way, certain expectations, people have expectation of you, right? So this is why they feel comfortable coming up to you, because you'll never say no. That I always been the person. I'm still that person people come to, and they know that I love my family and my friends. I'll do anything and everything for them. So the comfort is there, but the assumption of Rachelle will never say no, and then I said no, and it's like, oh, what is that all about?
Right.
But then at the time when I was saying no, when I made the decision to say no, I had a level of fear, because I didn't want the person to feel, no longer, have a bad thought or feelings or opinion of me.
Right.
But I stood on my ground, and I was like, I made it. It's like what you put in the universe. I remember saying, I'm going to stay on the right side of what's right. Though the request was very benign, but I said, I'm staying on the right side of what's right. And if you didn't do it, I can't sign it. And I don't want to sign it, because I now have to honor what I said that I would do. Right. But in doing so, we have the fear, but within that, it's really our assumption of what people will think, because the answer, the on the other side was like, okay. So I thought that person would be upset at me. No, none of that ever happened.
Right.
So we assume we're not going to say yes. We're not going to take the action because the next person may feel a certain way. But in retrospect, the person was like, okay.
They could care less.
They couldn't care less.
I think that's so powerful. Just the honoring of yourself, of the commitment that you made with yourself. And I've heard that, like, for example, the idea of being consistent with like a routine, right? Okay, if you tell yourself you're going to the gym, go to the gym. But those little things, those little keeping the commitments to yourself really make a difference.
It does. So I always say, and I know there's a proverb that says that like a African proverb, little by little, little becomes a lot.
Mm.
So the more you do, the more it becomes it takes space, right? So it starts with a decision to do something very simple. And the more you do it, and you add more, and you add more, and you become this other person because you're like, oh, okay, that worked. It wasn't as bad as I thought.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I like how you said too that even sitting in your career, so you had your master's, you were sitting in the career that you had chosen, and you were still asking yourself, what am I going to do when I'm big?
Yeah. And
Can you talk about that?
Yes. So I remember I was on my couch and processing. I knew there was more. It's kind of that lack of fulfillment. And it was in that moment where it was summertime. So summers had become a very idle time, right? So I had already my non-for-profit. Most of my work was done from, let's say, October to the month of May. So June, July, August, you kind of sit in there like, okay, and then the kids were out of school. So I didn't have them running up and down and picking up and dropping off as much. They were in camp. And I'm having moments with myself on my couch. And I'm like, there's more to me. There's more to what I have to offer in this world. And what I did recognize that my friends used to call me a lot for advice. Or can I run something by you? Help me process this. And I recognized there too that I no longer had an interest to support or listen to others that always give you a problem for every solution. So I recognized it was draining to me. So what I had to do is, because I love that one particular friend, I had to create space to hear when the person called me. So it's kind of like let's throw a name. Let's say Jenny, just for the sake of, I had Jenny time. I love Jenny so much, so I know Jenny needs time. So I create that you get 1 hour, no more, no less, because I can't. It's draining, right? So I was creating space just like that. So okay, you got about 1 hour. See what you have to say because it was draining.
Well, but listen, we all have friends like that.
Yes.
At some point in your life, you got to make a decision of like, well, I don't know about Jenny, but in my cases, it was people that continue. It's like they always needed the ear and they always wanted the advice, but then they still just did whatever they wanted. There's only so much you can take.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, I'll listen. I'll interject my thought, but I listen. I recognized maybe that was I was serving them better by being a listener than without the expectation of the person acting on whatever advice it was. So I realized that I no longer connected with serving others that gave you a problem for every solution. And that was part of the therapy piece as well. When I used to do some of the behavioral health stuff, not everyone who came to you were willing to come to you. So it's like, it was draining. It was like pulling teeth. So I didn't have a patience for that. One thing that I recognized that I enjoyed is that when I did go away to, we were supported, the non-for-profit was supporting grassroots organizations in Haiti that had child welfare as a mission. When I went there to visit the schools or the orphanage and provide resource and support, the how I was welcome in the way that people wanted to hear more of me, and that piece fulfilled me. When I when I had my the fundraisers, when I had to speak about the mission, the purpose of the organization, I was passionate about it. I enjoy speaking about it, and the way it was received fueled me, right? So I was like, I enjoyed doing that. And for every time I spoke, someone would come to me and say, hey, what you just said, or you don't know how this impacted me. I'm like, that fueled me. I want to do more of that. Ask me to speak about the cup, I have nothing. Ask me to speak about something that an issue, a topic, or that is very dear to me. I'll take you to the stars. And that's what, that was the feedback I was receiving, and how I was feeling, and receiving that. I want to do more of that. I need to have more impact, but through my words. And I recognize that that's what God placed me on this planet to do, That was my mission in this planet, that I had, through my voice, which is my gift, have a role to have impact, positive impact in others, to ignite fire into someone to take action in their lives and create change. That's my mission in this planet. That's my purpose. And when I became more clear, I had to do something to create that. How do I show up in that? Now that I know what I'm placed here for, how I show up in it. And this is where I started researching speaking and stuff like that. And I'm the type of person, if I'm going to do it, I'm just not going to just do it. I need to have credentials. I have to do stuff so that. So then the more I researched it, coach kept on popping up. I didn't know what a coach was, right? And the word coach kept on coming up. And the more I researched that, I recognized that one of the things they brought up was a coach brings you from a space of functionality to optimal space. So more than likely, the person that's going to come to you to coach is ready to take action, as opposed to therapy.
They've already done that on the couch.
Exactly.
They've already had that same realization you had. Like, okay, I need more.
Exactly.
I need help. I need a guide.
Exactly.
Right.
And for me, this is who I would love to pour into. So I followed through and went to get my certification and training in that, and became a certified professional coach through that. But then what do you do with it? Right. So through my own journey and my own work with others, I've recognized the importance of self-discovery, and I became more and more intrigued by it, did more research and studies around it, and then realized that self-discovery is where you need to start in order for you to be able to shift the energy you carry in every space.
Okay. You know the next natural question. What is it? What is self-discovery, and how does somebody start?
So self-discovery is a journey. So it's not a one-stop deal. It's really first acknowledging that you need to get connected with yourself, and you need to understand every element of you. What triggers you, what brings you joy, what brings you to a level of pain, how you react to things, why you react to things, what are your gifts, why do you exist in this planet? So you'll hear a lot of people say you find purpose. I don't believe that you find it. I believe you connect with it because you're born with it.
It's already there.
It's already there. You were placed in this planet with a mission. Connect, trying to find out what that mission is. Connect with it. It's inside of you. You were chosen to be placed here with a mission. And the mission has a timeline, right? And your duty is to connect with that within you so that you could fulfill the mission you were placed in this planet to fulfill. And it requires you to take a step back and, my word, to pause.
Yeah. But it's so true. I mean, you are the embodiment of this, even from 20 years ago when you were getting your master's degree. Like, you knew that you needed the time, which is what people are afraid of.
Exactly.
People don't want to stop the hamster wheel and get off. And I know that some people just can't because of their circumstances. But even if you have extreme circumstances, you have to pay attention to you. And that, why do you think that's so difficult for people?
I do believe people have, the reason why is I feel that it's difficult because they look at it externally, right? I think it's, again, for me, a lot of it is spiritual. And if you do not have that level of connection, spiritual connection, it will be hard for you really understand or make sense of it, let alone trying to attempt
to live it.
Right. So I think that's part of it as well, because yes, everybody has different circumstances, and most of us are in the space of the why me, and I don't ask that question. When my husband and I had a business, so as I launched my coaching business career, and we decided to jump into a business venture, which led me to have to put myself on pause so that I could build this. It was a urgent care. It was a pre-existing urgent care. We decided to jump in to purchase it. We did due diligence. We did all these things. And it's just never panned out to be what it said on paper,
Mm.
right? And in that process, though we had the staff that were there remained. Some of them had to leave because they didn't align with the mission and the vision we had. Some remained because they were so eager and interested to pursue it. And so we built a nice team, and we really did all that we could to ensure that it thrived. It was never, numbers were just not making sense. And I remember one of the managers who remained with us said to us, "It's not you guys. This business has been going down like that for years."
Mm.
This is when it became more clear that what said on documents was not necessarily true. And so in that process, I am it's funny because we just spoke about that before the session. Clearly, I'm a force of calmness for most people, right? And then as I'm saying, it's becoming more real to me. So who I am as an individual, people were drawn to it, the staff were. They believe in the mission. It becomes their practice, right? It was like we were out there going to whatever expo to really get clients to come in and stuff like that to really tell. And I also at the time, a lot of other hospitals were building the urgent care. So the urgent care business was like booming at the time.
Popping, yeah.
It was popping every corner. So we were mom and pop, and this one was just small. Like, you had like the MD Core. Like, we were MD Core. So it was MD, what was the other one? There's another MD
Now.
MD Now and all this stuff. Anyway, so it was booming. It's the stuff like that, and it was just not the numbers were just not coming up. And then you have Baptist and this and that. They were all opening urgent care. So that also played a role, I think, in addition to the fact that the numbers were just not coming in. So during that time, when we had to make a decision, my husband and I, to cut our losses, it was painful because I had a team that believed in us. They drank the juice, right? And they said it. So you guys don't understand. It's like it's like a cult. Like whatever you say when it follow through. It's and that's what the staff was saying. Like they believe, and I recognize they believe. I shift energy within that space.
That's so powerful that you we're going to talk about that. Continue.
So in that moment, so now the decision to cut our losses, I had to really get deeper within myself, to not blame myself for whatever the outcome is, but then also in trusting that the Creator had a greater mission. So I had to learn to surrender. I had to learn to surrender and be in accepting what he, her, who, whatever you want to call it, had for us. And it was a hard decision to be made. And I stopped asking why me. And this is where I'm going with this. I accepted why not me. I was placed in this planet with a mission. Part of the story that was given to me, this was part of it. I was chosen for that particular setback, and I have to be accepting of it. So when we talk about circumstances, we all are, we all have our circumstances. At no point did I say, why me, why not Ciara? No, it was, okay, I get it. You're gifting me this. I don't want it.
Right.
I don't want it.
Right.
But it could be worse. Mm-hmm. And if this is what you're giving me, this is the plight I'm getting given, I'll take it. So if it means that I have to eat one less slice of bread or take my kids out of school, do whatever I needed to do, we'll do it to overcome it. But it was a hard decision. We experienced major financial setbacks. Having to lay off a lot of stuff, like major. We had to cut our losses. Mm-hmm. So it was an experience. It built me, right? So it was tough. Again, I also know it was a blessing that we were able to overcome it, right? Some people are unable to overcome some of these things, but we were blessed to be able to overcome it. So I don't take it for granted. I understand that was part of my story to be lived.
I would say that also, like, even throughout all of that, the realization of the numbers aren't adding up. What was the time span?
From
like buying the business to then cutting your losses?
So it was about a little bit over a year.
Like imagine, and even through that lesson, the impact that you were able to make on the team that decided to buy into your mission. Like, it might have been an expensive lesson for you guys at that point, but also maybe the impact that you guys made on those people was eternal.
And that's where I go back and saying, that's my mission on
Right,
this planet.
right.
So it's funny that you're saying that. 3 of our staff members stayed to help us shut everything down, go through all the paperwork. And when I started to relaunch my workshops through my coaching, came and helped me without pay.
Because they believed.
They believe. They were coming in, oh, you're having an event? We'll work the desk. And I'm like, no, I have to pay you. No, we don't want, you've done enough for us. So for me, it spoke. So the lesson for me from that experience, as, you know, harsh and painful it was in terms of the financial loss, it was that I was living within my purpose. I was impacting lives. I was shifting energy because the negativity that was within that space was no existing. Right. And then I impacted to the point where people were willing to continue to serve me, right? So I'm like, okay, I am walking my talk. I am doing what I was asked to do in this planet. Yeah. So for me, that was a lesson from that experience because it showed me that I was having the level of impact I was destined to have on people.
That's incredible that you, and it really takes a lot of growth and maturity to be able to look back at that, you know, and thrive through it, right? Not just survive, but be able to rebuild. So that's like the personal impact on that part. But what about the business side? Like how, from a business point of view, what's the piece of advice that you could give the audience of like when they're thinking about buying a business? Do you think that there was red flags that you guys missed or something that you could have done different?
So when I say we did due diligence, it was the accountant, the attorneys, both sides. So the numbers were, I learned that people could actually dock, their numbers in a way that we didn't know. So that's a lesson. I learned that I no longer want to purchase an existing business because as you don't know, right?
Right.
So this is where when we did this Furi aesthetics and wellness, it was like, okay, we're going to do it from scratch. We're going to take our time, right? We're going to learn as we grow and not rush to the process.
Both are hard.
Yes.
Scratch is hard. Buying an existing business is hard because you really don't know.
You don't know. And you kind of say, okay, we were going to take it slow. So we were not rushing into anything. We were taking our time and through everything. So the aesthetics piece came about where we started going to people's home. Right? People, saying, oh, did you come do this at the house? Fine. Then from there, it went from a friend of ours saying, hey, we have a extra chair at our clinic. You want to use it? Okay. We're testing the waters throughout. So my approach to business became, let's not rush through things. Let's just take our time through it, right? And see how it works and if it's for us, right? And it went from there to us now we outgrew the chair from our friend's clinic to finding a space where we were able to rent hourly. So after we had clients, we went there to now having a suite, and we're taking our time and building, and then we took our time building our team as well. But the most important piece for me was at the time when we did the urgent care, we didn't have the community we have now. We were much younger as well. And we assumed we were going to gain whatever was already there. So the part of building community is the lesson that I find for me, it was the most important lesson to be learned. Is you cannot do it alone, right? You have to create partnerships, relationships in order for you to grow. And also, you need to serve. You have to serve, right? Because it's in the service that you get the return.
Right.
So that's the piece that I think that I learned is more about building, taking it slow, taking your time and planning, understanding the landscape that you're entering, and your reason why, your why, right? Why do you want to do it? And the reason for us was 2 things. We love to serve, and we love to be able to make people feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it was a no-brainer to bring what I do, what my husband does, and then bring it so that we could serve in that way. But ultimately, not just provide a fix, like a quick fix. It has to be a journey in the way we provide service.
Mm-hmm.
The empathy has to be there. The compassion has to be there. We have to be heart-centered. So our core value is at the center of what we do. And that's how we get our staffing as well. If we're not aligned, you can't work for us. Mm-hmm. There has to be an alignment in terms of who we are as individual and how we choose to serve our community. And yes, it's about making money, but ultimately it's about serving others, right? If it's not for you, we're not going to throw a service down your throat just because, hey, you know.
Right. You're not for it. It's funny because there's always like, and I think it happens more in women. I think men are fine with it, but I feel like women feel almost like ashamed of the fact, or I don't know if we're taught this. I don't know. I work in a different industry, so it's people know that we make money, right? Mm-hmm. It's a commission that is based off of a policy you buy. It's very different. But for services, I feel like it's like when like you're not allowed to run a growing business, right? Mm-hmm. And that women, I think, generally feel bad doing that and like talking about it, and like, no, you could do both, and you're doing both. You're serving and you're growing a business, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's true. Like, you're right. A lot of us women, especially when it comes down to payment or asking for fees, we have a hard time doing it. I have gotten better at it, and I'm comfortable in it now, because the more you get involved in entrepreneurship and business, and that's another piece. I didn't know I would love entrepreneurship the way I do. I love it. It's a side of me that I've learned that I didn't know existed. I've always been in service, and it's kind of like, I'm loving that component of it. So that has brought that up for me. Not show up in the space that it's business. So I always say, it's business at the end of the day. So these are our policies. This is how we do it. When I say in terms that we don't overtly offer stuff, it's the sense, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Our goal isn't to offer you something for the sake of making money.
Correct.
It has to be beneficial to you. So we would not offer you something that we not offer our loved ones. Mm-hmm. And that's where we come in. A lot of clients come in, I want this and that. Why do you need it? What's your why?
And that gives you a longer lifespan with that client.
Exactly.
Because you're honest.
Exactly. It's kind of like, we're big on teaching, educating others, and that. We educate our staff a lot, but our client as well, for them to understand what they're getting into and if it's in alignment with who they are and what they want. And why we recommend what we recommend. And with the other beautiful part of how we do it is that we give you a comprehensive plan. You could chip at it. Mm-hmm. You chip at it as you see fit. And it's a journey. It doesn't have to all happen at once. It's a journey. But it has to start with the basic, which is the one that you never do at home, which is the routine that most of us don't even realize we need to have a routine. So this is where the teaching comes in.
I told you too, the service that I got was great. And I felt the same way. And I think because the industry is very pushy, that it was obvious to me. When I left, I felt obviously my skin felt great, but I also just felt like, oh man, I didn't try to get like sold to. It just felt good, so that, and I do believe the industry in general, that industry is very like product based, and you got to buy this, you got to buy that. And like, they're always you can't leave without being crossed. Like it is very aggressive, I think. So you guys did do that well. I love the concept. First of all, this conversation is it's fulfilling for me, because I just think that your journey is so refreshing, because you have reinvented yourself, and you're doing it in a way that is showing grace to yourself. And the lesson to us is that reinvention comes with more grace. It's just like, just because it's hard, it doesn't mean it has to be done ugly. Like 20 years ago, you had that realization, I need my Sundays. And you're such a good example of prioritizing yourself. And I love that, because I think that first of all, we're not taught how to do that.
Yeah.
We're not taught how to do that. And I think even in the climate we're living in now, it's just people are tense. And I think that now more than ever, we should take inventory of ourselves. Mm-hmm. Right. And like, what's draining you? Who's draining you that you're like, evaluate the people that you're around. Mm-hmm. If they drain you and they make you feel bad, maybe it's time to go.
And also learning from each other.
Right.
So as you're saying this, I'm saying to myself, and I'm sure Romy will love this. Shouting Romy.
She's the best.
It's that I learned it from the Jewish community. Mm-hmm. So I do remember going to I was working at the hospital during that time. And a lot of my coworkers, Saturday was their Sabbath. Mm-hmm. Friday nights. Mm-hmm. Shabbat, it was one of those things. And it's kind of like, okay, during holidays, it didn't work.
Right.
Why can't we all honor our faith and our ways and our family, our values in the same way? So it became clear to me, so Sunday is my Sabbath.
Right.
So I don't work Sundays.
Yeah, it's Rachelle Day.
It's Rachelle Day. Yeah, it's like, whatever I want to do. And for me, it's I follow my faith and my family values. So I learned that, and one of the things I took in from being exposed to that culture, because why not?
Why not?
Why not? It's such a beautiful thing to honor. Mm-hmm. Other faiths do it too, but it was just one of those things. I think like within Christianity, which I am, we give. We're so open. Oh no, well we can't go to church on Monday at 6, but we'll go at 7. We're accommodating, right? Which is nothing wrong with it to a certain extent. But if you have the ability to say, hey, ultimately this is my Sabbath.
Right.
Why can I honor it? And I remember my childhood, what it looked like. I loved it. I want to continue it. And up until this day, how many years later, my kids, I tell them, I don't care what you're doing, but give me my Sunday. Yep. This is like, I don't want to hear about plans when they were growing up. Plans and I have play dates. Sundays is our day, yeah. And I try to honor this as much as I could throughout the years. And now that they're older, I tell them to say, I don't care what, but Sundays, especially now they have boyfriends and stuff. It's all right, go hang out with the boyfriend on Saturday, but give me my Sundays.
And that's one of the things that they'll carry with them. And even if it's irritating now, when they're a mom, yeah, and they're going to appreciate it.
You have to have that one thing.
You have to have it. That's where connections are formed. Values are driven in, all of that stuff. It's super important. And we're probably in this mess because we've gone away from that.
Exactly.
Right.
Because of how life has happened. We're always on the go. And it's always rush. We have to do this. It's like, okay, let's create space. Now with entrepreneurship, it's harder, right? Because now you're constantly in between all that. You still find time that you have to create space to do work. So now how do you find that? How do you create that alignment in your life so that even within that, you create space for that? Being in business with your significant other.
Oh, let's talk about
that. It's just another piece. It's like, we're getting to bed. Okay, well, let's talk about.
Right. No.
Can we have a minute?
Yeah.
How do we create space? And my kids, being older, at the beginning, especially last summer, they were involved, and we hired them, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, can we not talk about that at home? Like even then, they were seeking it because it was easy to. Oh, we're all sitting. Well, let's talk about Furi.
Right.
It's like, okay, I feel like it's a Furi all the time. And my daughters have said that, and it's like, oh my God, we have to walk our talk. We cannot bring this at home. We need to find a different way.
So how do you, I want to talk about it, especially with your husband. How are you able to, what is it? Boundaries? Is there a time cutoff? Like, how do you manage that?
So even in terms of our personal lives, we had created like a day for us to talk about what's going on in the home.
Okay.
That's before business, before we even had a Furi. It's like, okay, it's this day at this time, this is going to be let's check in, let's talk about finance, talk about this, let's talk about that. Do we always fulfill it? Life happens, not necessarily, but that day's still in the calendar for that.
Right. Well, I mean, at least it takes intention to have these conversations.
It does. So the way we have done it also with a Furi is, well, let's since that date was already in the calendar, let's expand it a little bit for us to talk about anything business. Now we're going to talk business, home business, and business.
Right.
And let's talk about it. Let's create that space for that, right? If there are other days that are needed, because life does happen, but we are going to give that hour or two because we still have to create space for us. And when we go out to dinner, we're not talking business, right? When in the bedroom, let's shut it down a little bit.
Right. Yeah, well, you have to.
You know, because then we can create space for us, because we'll lose sight of who we are individually and also as a couple, because we will become a Furi.
I think entrepreneurship, that's one of one of the hardest things that it's been for me. I feel like it's become my identity. I've lost a little bit of myself in that, and it's just like, it's this business, it's this growth, this path of growth that I'm on, of trying to put myself in uncomfortable positions to see what my potential is.
Exactly.
Right. But I think that, like, I also, I have to create that boundary of like, okay, you are not this business.
And this is why well-being is important. This is why that's all I speak on, because one without the other does not bring fulfillment. And in order for you to be fulfilled, you need to have all aspects of your life has to be tapped into. Some will tell you there's no such thing as life balance. I get that. Some speak, hey, it's more life alignment. The reality is that I believe the alignment and balance can coexist. It's just a little bit of it all. Right? So
balance isn't the traditional balance like
this.
No.
It's like you tap into everything a little bit at a time. Why?
Correct.
Because I have to get my spiritual fulfillment. I have to get my nutritional fulfillment. I have to get my physical fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. I need to get my relational fulfillment, environment, all that. So conversation is key with all parties so that people understand where you are. My friends, yes, I'm no longer as accessible as I was because I'm building, but I create space. I make sure I tap into hey guys, I'm here. This is what's happening this month and next month. If you don't hear from me, it may just be because of that. They get it. So there's no sense of, she thinks she's all of that, resentment, and all these other things. So they understand, we get it. And then when I know I've been quiet for a minute. I'm here, So it's intention. You be intentional and nurturing these relationships. And when I can, I either create space for, hey, it's time for us to have Sunday dinner, everybody, let's come together, or someone else creates it and I would go. So the point is that we create that. Same thing with family, right? I have a large family, but we don't get a chance to see each other. But we have to create the space for it. So what I do every year, I write in my, I have a different journal every year. And I write down my intentions on the business front, immediate family, friends, and community. And I know that, okay, I need to do like girls' night out or girls' luncheon maybe every 3 months. So I have to be realistic. I create that. How often I to do certain things with my husband, or check in. Now my kids I'm an empty nester. I need to talk to my girls daily, so I have to create space for that. So I know the things that are important and when I need to create space for it. So if I have, like, for example, today I'm here, everybody knows. You can't tap into me at this time. So I make sure that they're aware. My kids know, so they're not like, oh my God, I'm trying to call you, I can't find you.
I know, you're never available. Yeah.
No, because, you did. So they are aware of the schedule, what's happening, so that they know my flexibility. Now I am also a caregiver to my mother who moved in with me. I have to account for that. So when I'm always out and about because I have a Furi and I have this community engagement, this communication, like, oh my God, I haven't spent time with my mom. So I have to create space within that week for mom time. So, okay, so today's mom time. Either I want to, I don't go out, I don't put plans, or I take her out, but I have to create that as well. So it's a matter of being intentional.
I was going to say, honestly, hearing you talk, not only are you very intentionally living, but you are truly the architect of your life.
Yes.
You have a grasp on, the future, the current times, the
Yeah.
planning, the intention. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
and I
amazing.
have a grandmother, right, who's turning 99 and not 100. She's turning 100 in April. And I also, because now she used to be within the area where I live, and now she lives around Naples.
Mhm.
So I said to myself, my grandma's 99. I used to see her weekly or daily, and I don't get a chance to do that. I'm making a point of when someone I'm visiting my
Yeah.
grandmother.
You got to add her to
I added her because I have to see I don't know how much time she has
Right.
left. I have to see my grandmother. So monthly, I go visit because I have to see her once a month. But again, it's a decision I made of
Right.
what's important
To
to
you.
me, right?
because you know yourself.
Self. I have to fulfill myself, and that's fulfilling.
There's
to
the,
me.
but
It's-
that's the alignment and the
that's-
balance,
That's it.
right? It's not the
Yes.
traditional balance, but that's how you can wake up daily. And some days you might not feel it, but probably more than others, you feel, at peace with your decisions and
Exactly.
your time spent.
Exactly. I remember when I moved to Florida, I have a lot of family in Florida. When I moved to Florida, I thought life would be a certain way. And it did not turn out to be that way because I assume I would see my family all the time and this and that. And everybody has their own lives and
Right.
and different priorities and how they
Mhm.
see it. Again, they see things differently than you. So I didn't see them as much as I thought unless I created space for it. And not because they didn't want to, it's just that's not who they are and that's not what they did. So what I've did, and I remember my sister-in-law always reminds me of that. She said, do you remember when you made the decision that you will only do things, you will create space to see your family on your terms? I said, yes, because it was fulfilling to me. So when I have an event at my house, it's not about you.
I love that.
It's about me because I need that fuel. I need to see my loved ones. So I create space to see them. They all come, which is great. So I no longer get stuck on, well, you don't invite me.
Right.
Or you didn't create this time for me. No.
You're
When I'm
controlling
in
it.
need of it, I want to fuel my cup. I create the space. I invite everybody over. We have a good time. And at the end, I could spend another 2 months, whatever. But at that moment, I filled my cup because I needed it.
Mhm.
And that's how I show up. I do what I need to do to fill me. And if anybody gets get fulfilled, which is great at that moment, but it's really about me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Um,
And I manage expectations.
it's so good. I mean, really, it's powerful,
Yeah.
really, to be aligned with yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has worked for me. Again, we all have what works. For me, it has worked. And I strongly believe this power behind self-discovery, this power of understanding the energy we carry, what ticks us off and how we manage it. But the more you get to know you, all elements of you, and it's not just the superficial, it's
Right.
also your ethnicity, your culture, because all that, your history, all that plays a role for you to understand why your parents are acting the way they're
Right.
acting.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's we're all shaped by so many things, by so many transactions and lived experiences that, like, if you don't stop and analyze them, then it's really, and maybe it's because I feel like this, but like it's just this hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Like just pausing to be able to acknowledge those things and interpret those things, feel them. Right? Like, how many times does somebody in our family pass away, get sick, move, any of those things that are big life decisions or disturbances to others, and you just push through it. You don't even sit and feel it and acknowledge it and mourn or grieve, or it's so detrimental, the lifestyle that we live of just go, 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 go.
And sometimes because we just want to, we assume that's the only way to reach the goals, right?
Right.
So in entrepreneurship, we have certain, we want to reach because we don't want, we no longer, or we are unable to remain at the beginning stage of not having any income.
Right. No. Yeah. You have to grow.
Right.
If you don't grow, you
have
die.
to die.
Yeah.
So you're constantly pushing and shaking and doing what you need to do for you to get to the next level, but at your own detriment sometimes.
100%.
So the question is, how do you do that while still how do you push, shaking and moving it, but yeah, still keeping that alignment with yourself. And that's the piece that most of us struggle with, or don't even know that we have to tap into, because it's not in the forefront of because we're looking at the trajectory of where the goal we set for our business and where we need to go. And without having that piece, you may never grow, right? The confidence may not be there. You lose sight of a lot of different things. So when you show up in spaces to be fully the 100% of yourself, to be able to sell that item or speak about the insurance or whatever you're doing, you can't, because you're depleted.
Sometimes you got to take a couple steps back
Yes.
to go forward,
Yes.
to catapult
Yes.
forward. That is so good. We have to talk about Be Her Collective.
Okay.
Look at us. We haven't even gotten there. Tell us about Be Her Collective.
So Be Her Collective is a personal and professional development platform that my business partner and I, Malia, created to support women of color of diverse background. And we do it through supporting, celebrating, and growing. And I have to give a shout out to Daily Drip, because without the Daily Drip and what Nicole and Romy have done, we wouldn't have met, right? Malia and I would not have been in the alignment that we were, realized that we were the right fit for each other to collaborate and build this new business that we've done. So that's one thing I could say that the Daily Drip has definitely done. It kind of like it removed all the noise, and it already created the space. Okay, you guys you're there because
right.
we have similar visions. So the reason why we felt it was important for us to create such platform is so that women of color could feel a safe space where they could fully be themselves without having to code switch or putting in a suit, proverbial suit, to showing up in a way that is not in alignment with who they truly are, because that's what we're told we needed to do. And feeling comfortable and where you can engage in conversations also and grow and say, I don't really know how, and I know that you get why I don't know how, and help me through it. So we talk a lot about bold pivots and brave journeys. A lot of women of colors do not know how to take that leap because of fear of losing their jobs and not having opportunities afforded to them. And we're here to say, yes, you can. There is a way, and there's a community that will support you in that, right? And so that's really where this is all coming. So we're big on education. Our pillars is advocacy, mentorship, bridging, education, and resource. And we pull experts to help us teach these labs so that our members are equipped with whatever it is, where they are in their journey, life journey, to feel bold enough to take a leap of faith towards becoming that version of themselves they were destined to become. So.
Yeah, that's super powerful. And so it's is it only for women of color that are entrepreneurs, or could they be in the corporate space that are looking for support to?
So we've had women that are, it's a little bit of all.
Okay.
So though we are an organization with the mission of supporting women of color, diverse background, it's open to all. So we do have women that are not of color that have joined as well. So it's really the woman who's in the corporate that wants to take that leap, become an entrepreneur, right? The person who loves the corporate job or whatever job, but they don't feel like they have the support needed.
Right.
So they have a community could come to and find that support. The woman who's been at home and said, okay, now it's time for me to start doing something and I don't know where to start. The woman who's going to become, who's going to retire soon and doesn't know what life beyond the walls of work, will look like. So it's a little bit of everyone, that depending on where their journey, because it's that bold move that you need to do. So all are welcome.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, this conversation has been incredible.
It has.
I am so grateful. The Daily Drip again knocks it out of the park with the quality of women.
Yes.
That that are in that organization are just life-changing.
Yes.
Really, really they are. And you obviously are. Last question. What is the best piece of business advice that you could give a new entrepreneur?
Build a community. I find that to be the best that I could lesson in advice. Once you just make a decision, you need to start investing in building your community, because you learn from your community, you grow with your community, and this is how you build the network that you're looking for. I think it's really important, because you, within that as well, what you're missing, you gain from knowledge from someone else. So, and also the understanding that collaboration is not, it's important. It doesn't have to be competitive.
That's so good. That's so good, because it's this journey of entrepreneurship is so lonely. And like you said, I'm glad that you highlighted that too, even with like your social life and your friends, and how it's shifted now, and you're telling them, I'm in building mode. You're not going to see me as much. You lose your personal friends sometimes on choosing to build this business. You know, it's common. So having that, which is why one of the main reasons, I mean, I knew Romy prior to the Daily Drip, and I remember when her and Nicole, she had her first meeting with Nicole, and she had told me about it, and then COVID happened, all that stuff. But I remember that when she wanted me to join, and I was like, I can't join until I can give it my all. So I had to get some stuff off my plate to be able to fully commit, because that's just how I am. And I knew immediately that I had made the right decision, because I was able to be around women entrepreneurs. I needed that community, to your point. And I needed it to be women, because I have a community of men that support me, and that we're in masterminds, and we're talking strategy and all that stuff. But I needed the community of entrepreneur women.
Exactly. Because sometimes you have friends, right? But we're not in the same stage of life, right?
Correct.
Based on what you're doing. So you can't fault them if they don't understand it.
Even something as simple as, I had this conversation yesterday. Like, my friends, it's nothing bad against them. It's the choice that I've made to do this, you know, but they work a 9 to 5. Sure, work is stressful. You know, I know you take the baggage of the day home, all that stuff. But I told one of them, I said, I am supporting 5 families before me. Like, the weight of that. Yeah. I wake up at 1:30, 2:00 in the morning thinking about that. Like, those things are things that, unless you're in this seat with me, it's just very difficult for you to understand why maybe I'm not going to the girls' brunch.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to, right? Like, so, and it's not personal.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, it's just, it's different.
It's different. But it also, but yet, having said that, it also helps us to ground us, because sometimes you need to go back to where you
Correct.
came. So it's kind of like, oh, I do have friends.
Well, that's why I like your intention.
Yeah.
And I think that I've lacked that.
Sometimes I don't want to think.
Right.
I just want to be. Right? So
sometimes I don't want to put pants on.
Exactly. So I want to just lay back and chill and just talk about anything but business and time, and just be okay. So that is that's the balance that we're trying to find. But you have to have the right friends that understand too. So sometimes you have to shed the friends too, because they won't get it.
They don't get it.
They don't get it.
Thank you.
Oh,
my
thank
friend.
you.
This was
Thank
amazing.
you.
Tell everybody where they can find you. We'll put it in the show notes, and we'll tag Be Her Collective. We'll do all that.
So I'm on LinkedIn, Rachelle Sylvain. I'm on IG, also _ Rachelle Sylvain. And the Be Her Collective is also, it's hashtag, not hashtag, but _ Be Her Collective on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and at Furi Aesthetics as well. It's at a Furi Aesthetics, and it's also on IG.
And we'll put it all in the show notes. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
I have so much still to talk to you about. I mean,
I know.
You're a woman of so many dimensions. There's so much to say, to talk about. So we'll definitely have you back, because we didn't talk about like just your challenges of life that you've been through that have helped you come here. There's just so much. So I appreciate you and your friendship, and thank you for being you and sharing you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Actually,
it's an honor to know you. It really is. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ciara.